Well, I'm doing something kind of different today. We've had a ton of rain, and so it's really hard to work out at the job site. And I've had this poplar I got. I actually got all this for free. It's kind of down the hallway here, but um, I'm doing something different. This stuff is not, it'll be fine once I cut it up and mill it, but it's not like primo top grade stuff. And so what I've done, I've got a cut list of what I need, and I'm just going through and sizing up what'll fit where. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. And so I've got my cut list, and I'm kind of laid all this out. I haven't done them all, but most of them, they're a little weird. I've got notes on cut lines and everything like that. And so right now I'm going to take some of this out here and set it up and cut it into smaller pieces and then mill it up with my jigsaw or my table saw and bandsaw. So here's kind of my notes on the yield from some of these pieces, and I've got like this tally thing going on. What I've done, just think about the parts of each deal and then cut them. So here's kind of a rough floor plan, and I've counted out, the rough dimensions with a little bit of room for error for each thing. First time I've ever done it like this, because, most of the time you go to the store and you just buy stuff, but the window setup and door stuff is similar. What I've got is sort of craftsman style, and on the windows, everything will be 3/4 inch, except for this top piece. It'll be 5/4, so it'll be, over an inch, 1.25 inches, 1.8 inches, something like that. I might go a little skinnier, depending on how it works out with the top 1x2 or whatever. And what I've found is if you do it like this is kind of the old way, you don't have to worry about butting these up. The same thing with the doors. If you have a plinth block, your baseboard can butt into it, and the side rails of the door trim can butt into it, and above here too. This will be 5/4, and so it'll go up into it, and I'll have to make sure that it's perfectly flat, and that's a lot easier. If you've ever done this, there's more wood involved. This is fancier, but it's easier to put together because there's no 45s, and because everywhere there's a transition, planar transition, I don't know how you call that. You have the ability to dye this material into that, and vice versa. So I'm going to set it up and cut it all. I've cut everything I can cross-cut wise, and so now I'm going to run stuff through the table saw, everything that's 3.5, well, for this first batch. So I'm trying to batch process this cross-cut table saw, then later I'll do the bandsaw and everything else. So here we go. Well, I'm back at it again. I didn't quite get finished yesterday, mostly because I spent a ton of time trying to set up that bandsaw to do what I need it to do. And unfortunately, it's not going to work. It's just not strong enough. It looks big enough, and I thought I probably wouldn't have bought it. I know I wouldn't have bought it if I'd known that it only has a 1/2 horsepower motor. I found that out by looking at the manual, but just by looking at that, oh, it's at least 1 horsepower, 1.25 or something like that. Not the case. So for $40, you can't go wrong. It's still good for doing other kinds of work, but definitely not strong enough. And so I'm just going to keep on doing like I used to do. I've done in the past, just hope for the best with the table saw, go slow and do, half the cut, split it the other half. I've got a board on here right now that's particularly bad that I had to kind of straighten out. I brought my joiner and my planer, and I'm going to just see how far I can get today before I run out of time. So I'll put you on right now for time lapse. Well, I didn't show you because I didn't want this just to be a long time lapse, but I've been cutting this stuff up and ripping it in half, some of it. Now I'm working on the sections that'll be closer to 5/4. What I landed on was 1 inch. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. This is my 3/4 piece, and I've got about 1/4 inch reveal. So these are the side rails of the door. This is the header. And then I'm going to use this as the header treatment, which is probably about 1/2 inch piece. And what works out is that's pretty much what the cutoff is. I'm not so sure about that. I think I want it to be a little meatier. Well, maybe this wants to be more like 3/4 inch. But anyway, I like to mock things up like that. I think it's a bad idea just to roll with it and not kind of check it out and look at what you got going on. My windows will be very similar, except the bottom trim will be different. Obviously, there is no bottom trim, just a plinth block, and my plinth blocks will be the same as this, same thickness as this, but the width of the rail probably just a little bit wider than the rail actually. I don't know. Again, I'm going to mock that up too and see how it looks. I've done a lot of stuff that I haven't shown you on camera just because it's stuff you've seen and it makes for the most boring time lapse, but I wanted to show you something that I'm trying out, which is not really, this is not advice on how to do this. It's just, this is what I'm doing. So what I've done, I've got a jointer, but if you didn't, you might be able to do something like this. In essence, I've just set it on a flat surface and clamped it. If you had boards that are all the same size, it'd be helpful because you could clamp both sides and just very carefully run it through the planer to try to get these all to the same width and to make them pretty straight. So that's what I'm doing right now. I forgot to do this little piece right here. I can't even remember what that's called. The jam stop, the door stop, some sort of stop, maybe not. So I'm going to cut those, and probably that'll be the end of this little video. But I just, I've kind of had a change of plans. It's real dark and scary. It's been raining on and off. I'm like up underneath this awning thing. I've got my awning. I'm just trying to make progress. It's too wet and crazy. But I had the realization, two things, I guess. One, like, it's hard to tell because I haven't put this stuff together, but this is the definition of bespoke. That's kind of what my channel is about doing things. It's not a word that people use often, but it just means done with craftsmanship and kind of made and not just bought at the store. And so I'm trying to articulate that you don't have to have a shop full of amazing tools to do something like this. Like I've told you before, this table saw was $35. I just got this. This is like $13. It's worthwhile. It's helpful. It's not as helpful as I thought it would be, but the double-decker thing does make it a little bit better. I could have also built a sacrificial fence that was a little taller to get better cuts, but I did just fine. This planer, I think it cost me $100. I don't remember. I've told you before. I bought it several years ago, before COVID, so take that with a grain of salt. This jointer was $125. Somebody gave me these roller stands, and really I need to buy like 2 more of them, but I would not try to do this without something like that because it just makes it all the better. But the point I'm trying to make is just with a few simple tools. There's my little Harbor Freight thickness gauge caliper. You can turn 5/4 stuff into, well, let me just show you. All of this, and my kids are screaming in the background, but that is pretty good. And it's the thickness I've wanted. It's not just from the store, whatever I bought, but it's exactly what I wanted. Same with all that, the doors. And so now I'm going to take this trim and make it into doorstop. I'm going to finish up this project of milling all this stuff, kind of what I've been up to, by building 2 gable vents. And these will just be out of cedar. Here's kind of a picture, front view and then a side view. And I'm going to use this stuff I've got right here. This is like a 4x6, I think, and a 4x4, and then a 2x6 of cedar. And I'm using them in different ways, but I'm going to mill all this up and maybe change the design. You know how it goes. But that's the idea on a 13x16 vent. So I'll set you up and show you that right now. I'm milling this up just kind of to eye. I'm going to end up probably cutting the edge of that off a little bit. But that's kind of what I wanted it to look like. This inset, and I'm going to put the louvers in here. I'm going to start working on the louvers right now. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that. I've got a plan, but we'll see how it goes. I ended up with 10 of these slats, and I'm just kind of laying them in there to visualize it right now. So what I'm going to do next is figure out the layout to use them, because I think 10 is about right. And they're going to go on an angle. I'm just going to kind of make the angle up and figure out how the heck I'm going to be able to transfer the angle. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm sure it'll be all right. I might end up laying these out in such a way that you use them as spacers and set the one in the middle, and then go from there and cut the ends off if it's close, because I want it to look good too. This should be a big enough vent for what I've got going on. I kind of oversized it maybe a little bit just so I'd have room to play with it. Well, here's what I ended up with, and I'm pretty proud of that. The first one I didn't do as good as the second one. You can see where I got a little stupid with the nails. I'll go in there and clean it up with a little oscillating head tool. These aren't the best in square, but they're loosey-goosey enough I can move them around when I need to. I forgot a framing square. I forgot all kinds of stuff I was supposed to have today. I'm pretty happy with them. I like that I don't have any nail holes. I mean, you got plenty over here, but I kind of toenailed even this trim piece. It's the back side of it. This last piece, I cut an angle on it, and so it's a different angle. But I wanted to be able to close it in and make it look right. Put a chamfer on the top and the bottom just to shed water. But those look pretty good. It took me, I don't know, maybe 2 hours, which is probably way too much time, but it didn't cost me any money. This is all junk I had laying around. Some of it was a little iffy. Like, I had to cut a lot of dry rot out, and there's still just a little bit here and there. I may end up sealing these completely with the same stain I'm using for the deck, and so it should be good. And then to finish them up, I'm gonna put on the back side, I'll put like window screen, maybe 2 layers of it, maybe, it depends on what I have laying around. Window screen and then some hardware cloth. That way there's no critters are getting in there, squirrels or whatnot. I wonder, I hope nothing makes a nest up in there. I mean, they probably will, but I don't know how else to do it. I guess I could also probably take this off and put wire across it. That might be something to do. They're not too hard to take that trim off. I've just cut the sides, cut those nails, but I wanted to put them together and just see what they look like. And honestly, I don't even have that many nails in it. There it is. Well, I know this is kind of a weird video because I'm in the middle of framing stuff and I'm just trying to deal with the weather and what I've got. I'm here under my canopy still. Had a pretty good day today, no rain really, but thanks so much for watching this. Please like and subscribe and comment and all the things that you're supposed to do. Thanks so much.